Hi, I'm Ember's Tide, he, him, and I'm happy and excited to welcome you back to Smallfolk, a live play D&D podcast brought to you by Insight Check. Heroes come in all sizes. The Valley is home to the Smallfolk, and these are some of their stories. We invite you to scurry, jump, fly, and wiggle to take part in the adventures of Table 1 as we continue with Episode 1. Follow JINK, the Pine Marten, Howee Leafears, the Batfolk Rogue, Abendstern Leafears, the Croakie Cleric, super long sparkly trail, the Shellkept Druid, and Wensleydale Beestinger, no relation, the Beastmaster Rogue Rivertail Otterfolk, as they take up their first adventure, this time serving as support and protectors of a lone mousefolk tradesman named TUFTS, who ventures into the unknown to acquire a distribution contract with a legendary and reclusive producer of honey known as Lavender Lone for his employer. The party has learned that they're walking into an unknown, dark, and unmapped tunnel, leaving the safety of the valley, and we will now pick up with the adventure to see what greets them in their journey. Thank you for listening.
We're back. Hello. Thank you. We are all relieved. We are all refreshed, and the first
relieved to be back.
Oh yes, obviously. And Douglas is he's slightly activated, so I'm gonna have to stand up in a minute. But so first camp, you start setting up. You actually see. You can tell that this mouse has been given very specific instructions, and from the cart, he picks up like two pieces. Anyone who's adventured, especially in the wintertime, you'll know these. They're like cubes of dried leaves and old fabric, like basically fire starter when there isn't wood underground, right? Anyone who's spent enough time underground, they're like, it's just like lint and things, and they're meant to work like logs. And so he puts a couple down, and he, with a tinder, it takes him a little bit of time, but he lights the fire, and the bugs finally get a bit of relief, and then he starts setting up his own camp, getting a bite for himself, a drink of water, and then he said he actually, once everything settles a little bit, and people kind of have done whatever they need to do to set up camp, he pulls out a box and opens up the box, and there is some cards that, well, who has spent any time living with mice or staying long hours in like a mouse inn, not just for a night, but who's like spent some time staying within the company of mousefolk?
Wouldn't be Howee.
Yeah, it wouldn't be me either.
I guess it's just JINK.
JINK, you recognize this deck. This is their cards are common in Smallfolk, but this is a mousefolk particular deck. It's a small box that is deep, and the cards are mouse sized. So for you, when you play, you feel like you're playing with miniatures. They're so tiny. But it breaks down into, there are two large stacks. One is sometimes used if there's only a few players, but there's enough that like a whole, you can tell that this is meant to play for a lot of people. And then there's some smaller stacks as well. So this is a card set that is meant, like, mice families can go up to 20 to 100 depending on whoever's there, right? So they always want to have enough to play for everybody, and you would know this game, but he starts shuffling some cards, and he says, well, I'm not sure what you do on a night's travel, but does anyone want to play some Nature's Luck? And with that, he also takes out one of his pouches of money and kind of puts it beside him, and you hear that very distinct clink of caps and leaves and chips. And he's like, it's really, I mean, none of you are mice, and I don't want to assume, but it's a really easy game to learn, and yeah, it could be a bit of fun if you want. I've never slept in a cave before. I know it's as a mouse, it's a weird thing to say, but I'm a city mouse, so this I don't know. There's a little bit of comfort, and he starts to shuffle.
I will play a game
waiting
with
to
you.
see if anyone will play.
If you're willing to teach, I will always be willing to learn.
Yeah, and Wensleydale doesn't say anything, but he just comes over and sits down in the circle of people who are joining.
How tall is this chamber? How high up?
This chamber is roughly. It is about 4 stories high, so it is a big chamber. It's large enough on the map that it was worth mentioning. So it's like the tunnel that you've been in mousefolk, we use paws instead of feet.
Yeah.
And so it was the tunnel itself fit everyone relatively well, so it was about 10 to 15 paws high. But this thing is 4 times that height, and it's expansive. It's incredibly wide.
It's a cavernous cavern.
It's a cavern. It's cavernous, exactly.
So Howee, based on that, is going to politely decline the game, fly up to the top and try and find a perch to hang down on for sleep, but also to sort of be like a giant perception disco ball at the top and just get a sense of the surroundings in that great hall sort of cavernous opening every so often. But he's less interested in playing the game and more interested in being kind of being like a sonar receiver.
A bat on the wall.
Totally.
Yeah.
Bat on the wall. Make a perception roll for me then.
I shall.
Since you're going up there, you find a couple roots and like mycelia hanging out, and so you find one that will work for you, right?
It's a 16.
Yeah. Okay. So with a 16, from this vantage point, and now that the fire's been lit, you can see in a farther area that was kind of tucked behind the entranceway. The entrance, there's a part that kind of dips back a little bit. You see that there is some debris. It looks like wood. And you think that there's a small jar back there as well. There's something, no one's seen it because no one's facing it, and no one's really looked. Everyone just kind of came in and started setting up camp. But you see those.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chirp out that I'm going to do a perimeter check and glide over there.
Yep.
Take a look.
Okay. So when you get down there, the wood itself is old and rotted. And you see the metal of a cartwheel just laying rusted along it. And in good condition, but definitely of a time before, you see a small, what you think was a honey jar. And it's just kind of laying there. And just been covered in dust. There's dirt over the top of it. And it's just kind of resting along that spot.
I lick it.
The jar itself? Or do you open it? It's because it's closed right now.
So, okay, I'm going to try and see if there is residue of honey.
Okay, yeah. So you pop the jar open. There's that. And it's just dust, right? You pop it open. And there's a sweet dust that kind of pops out. And there doesn't seem to be, there's a sheen in the jar. Like it's shinier along the inside of it, but it seems to be empty.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I take a little bit of water, do a quick rinse, dump it out, and then I take a little bit more water, put it in there, and just sort of shake it up and try to reconstitute it. I'm going to hold on to this jar and see if I can, liquidate any crystalline honey that might be in it. Because I want to get a taste to see if this is that, transcendental experience of the Lavender Lone. The other thing I was going to try to do is look for any kind of insignia or markings on the jar or on the metal part of the cartwheel, and I guess look and inspect and see if there's any sign of damage or violence or conflict in these ruins.
Yeah. So I'll give you roll another perception check, and
I will do so.
And then we'll get to the card game.
It's a 15.
15? Yeah. The cart and wood itself is incredibly old. It's hard to tell. It's all just in bits, right? Like the longest part is about a few paws, like 2 paws wide. But there's enough of it, and especially with the wood, the rust of the wheel cart, you can tell what it was. But it's all just decomposed in this space for a very, very long time. In the jar itself, you flip it over on the bottom, and in the clay, you see an imprint of a lavender flower. And it is just it's just a light pressing, as if when the clay itself was drying, someone took the leaf and pressed it there and kept it there until it was dry and then etched it off. But you can tell it was an intentional marking.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take this jar. I'll tell you what.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, you're holding onto the jar, and you can hear there's water in it still. You said you're just keeping.
Yeah. So honey. The amazing thing about honey is even as it dehydrates and crystallizes, it never really goes bad. It just dehydrates.
No, exactly.
So I'm gonna see if I can just let it slog around in there and rehydrate. This is something I intend to hold on to as long as I can, without really letting on that I have it. So hopefully I've got a little time that I can give it.
Perfect. Yeah, and since everyone else is concentrated on the card game, I'm gonna just say that you are able to pocket this thing away, and nobody knows the wiser.
Okay. Nice.
So then what happens is that TUFTS he takes one of the thick decks, and kind of puts it out in the middle of the circle, and then takes one of the small decks and puts it out in the middle of the circle and says, well, nature's luck is old mousefolk. The wild is a dangerous place, so you look for food and you try and stay away from danger. So how the game works is that, well, you take from this deck, and he points to the larger one, and everyone we can play friendly, or we can place a bet. I don't know. It's more fun with a bet. I don't know. And then we decide if that's it, or we can pull from this deck. And what you would know, JINK, is that the deck that he's pointing to is the face cards, and so it's much smaller. And he says, and then so what you do then is once you have that card, there's another set of bets, and you can hold, you can stay, and the person with the highest total wins. That's it. It's fun, but it's easy. And if you want to play, I can deal. Or everyone can pick. Every family does it a little differently.
Well, I'm willing to put a bet in. Is anybody else interested in that?
Put how much in?
Well, how about this? And he just takes out a gold cap. He says, we're just learning, and it's fun when you bet more than just once. So he puts a gold cap into the center, and you can actually tell he flips the box, and the top of the box has some fabric on the bottom, and he puts it into the fabric as if that's what it was meant for. He's like, so just that, to put it there, first in, and then we do another round after we have our cards, and then if everyone holds, then that's all we do. But if someone wants to go for the prey cards or the predator cards, then then we can go from there.
Okay.
All right.
So here's how we play. Everyone is going to roll a 20-sided dice, and you are going to hold on to that number. You're not going to tell anyone what it is, okay? And so I gotta get everything. So we have 3 people playing, right? Here we go. Our first big rolls of the night. So everyone who's playing, there's 4 of us. Everyone roll a 20-sided dice. All right. And what we'll do is this: since the order was it was TUFTS and then JINK and then Abendstern and then it was Wensleydale, that'll be the order in which we go.
Okay.
Okay. So and Sparkly's watching. So she's just like a little bit far removed. So he takes a look at his card, and once you pick up the card, you see that they're very small and they have the number on it that you rolled, but there is also a small outline of a food source that you can find in the woods or in the valley. So a lower card would have something simple, like a blade of grass or some wheat, and a higher card would have something a little bit more rich, like some fish or bugs or maybe a berry. And so it's clear that the cards are tied to it. And so he looks at his card and he says, "Oh, okay. Well, since it's my game, I guess, and I said that it's more fun with more bets, I'll put down." And he takes out 5 leaves of silver and he puts them into the pot. So right now there's 4 gold caps, 1 from each, and he has 5 silver that he's put in. And you guys can decide if you will hold or stay. Or like hold or meet his, or add more. And JINK, you're up first.
Oh.
You can also roll like perception rolls on him or each other or anything like that. Like Dungeons and Dragons things also apply here.
Yeah. I think Jinx.
Also, you can roll deception checks if you want. And
Okay. Jake is just playing for fun right now, so he'll put in another 5 silver.
okay. So you meet his bet.
Yeah.
Perfect. Abendstern.
Can I roll a perception on Howee to see what because he's right above TUFTS, to see how he's reacting to TUFTS?
Sure. Yeah, you definitely can, because he's your brother.
Yeah.
And so because he's your brother, I'm going to give you advantage on this one.
I rolled a 14 plus 3, so that's 15. 19. Math is hard.
19.
So I can.
Howee, how would you?
So I'll tell you.
How would you react?
So
Yeah, okay.
I'm up pretty high, and I don't know how well I can see as much as I can certainly hear. So what I'm doing is I'm attuned very much to what TUFTS is saying and any auditory cues that TUFTS or anybody else playing the game is giving.
Okay.
And in particular, I'm very focused on Abendstern and to see if he starts to give signal of frustration or skepticism, at which point, being directly above TUFTS as best I can be in my perch, I'm going to try and kind of mess with the Merchant Mouse's game a little bit.
Okay, so you can tell from how the things he was saying and the way he was speaking, he's picked low. And he's trying to excuse it as like he's teaching the game. And the way that he's talking doesn't make it seem like he has confidence in his hand in any capacity.
All right, then how many silver flakes did he throw in? 4? 5?
He put in 5.
I'll put in 5.
All right, so you meet his bet.
Yes.
Awesome.
So at this point in the game, there's nothing we might do to like try and augment our score. It's just betting.
It's betting on the number that you have,
Okay.
and the next one is augmenting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well then, yeah. So
Yeah.
at this point, Wensleydale's just gonna match and stay in.
Match? Okay. Now, just as a curiosity, I meant to do this before. So there's four gold caps and 20 silver leaves in there. How do your characters feel about, how are they acting about their card currently? Jink, how is Jink acting about his card?
So, Jink is pretty familiar with playing cards, especially with mousefolk, and their penchant for playing games that involve some kind of monetary value, but he doesn't really put much stock in money, so he's not very stressed out at all about whatever his card may be.
Amazing. Abendstern, how about you?
Abendstern is really the strong silent type, and he doesn't really play games. He doesn't gamble that much. He's not really he's not a player. So he has an amazing poker face. No matter what card he has, he just looks like a giant frog. And that's just, he has resting frog face.
He has a croaker face.
Resting frog
Resting
face.
frog face.
It's a croaker face.
It's a croaker face.
Oh no.
Cal, you're worth your weight in caps, my man. Good stuff, buddy.
I hope we had peak viewers there, because that
I heard embers. I heard embers.
We should have known.
In Irish's game, he would get inspiration. So if you're not watching Michaela's game Celtic Knot, this is something he would get inspiration for. But that's not this game.
Man.
So
Yeah,
I'm just really proud of him.
Casey Drones is going to have to do a cover of Croaker Face now.
Incredible. And Wensley, how do you feel about your card?
So Wensley is also has a great poker face, but it's for a very different reason, which is the power of not understanding the game well enough to give away anything about what you have.
Amazing.
He doesn't look worried about how perilously low his roll is, because he doesn't understand why it's bad.
Incredible.
This is exactly that meme.
So, moving on, moving towards it, he then reaches for the small pile. And Jink, this is what you know. You know that this is a pile of face cards, and there are 4 different. I'm trying to get my good note back here. There are 4 different suits in this part of the deck. The other one isn't. It's all just numbers, up 1 to 20, and then depending on how many mousefolk there are, then you add another 20, and then if you're pulling from this deck, that becomes, you just keep adding and adding and adding. It's just It's like mousefolk math that they can do in their own mind, because they live around hundreds of each other. But this deck, the 4 suits match the seasons. So winter is blue, spring is yellow, summer is green, and fall is orange. And there are 4 face cards that go in an ascending order, as if an ascending amount of danger that these creatures would produce. So the lowest is the hare, which is still a wild creature in the valley, and it's one of the most common wild creatures. So they do pose a danger because they're around all the time. There's the fox, there's the owl, and then finally there's the wolf. So he reaches and he grabs his card, and then he motions for you all to do the same. And so what happens in this part, you roll a d4 and you add 10 to your initial score. So you roll a d4, so say you rolled 4, you'd add 10 to that, right?
So basically the results we could get would be 11 through 14.
11 through 14.
Right, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that number gets added to our first roll?
That number gets added to your first roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you'll do is, in a second, there'll be another set of bets, like a final round, and then people can either raise or stay or fold, depending. And then you'll show your first card. So, for example, say if you got like a 10 on your first card, you show the 10, and then then you tell me your second number, and then then we add it, basically. So he looks at his card, and Howee, you feel like he's middle ground with it. His posture changes a little bit, and he kind of looks at his bag, and he looks at everyone. He says, yeah, well, it's the first time, and it's our first night together, so... And he grabs a cap of gold, and he throws that into the pot again. He's like, why do silver when you can do gold, right? So here you go. And he puts so there's now 5 gold and 20 silver in this small pot. JINK, you are up.
So we're just adding to the pot if we'd like to at this point?
Yeah, you can either, you match his bet. If you know that if you don't match, you're folding. And then you're kind of walking away from the table.
Okay.
With, yeah, exactly. So you either match or raise if you want to stay in.
Okay. JINK will put in another 3 gold caps.
Okay. He sees you. How do you toss them in? Or how do you put them in?
We'll just gently stack them because he's always very conscious about the space he's in because he's so big. So it's just very gentle. It just sets them in the corner. Yeah.
Perfect. And so he sees that and he kind of nods and goes for 2 more and matches your stack. He sees what you did and almost in admiration, he puts them there and kind of looks to Abendstern.
Abendstern looks at his cards, looks at the money, looks at his cards, picks up three gold coins or tabs slowly and puts them puts them on the pile.
Yep. Perfect. Think of acorn caps if that
makes
it
there you go.
easier.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
Yeah.
What do my bat ears hear at this moment?
For Abendstern? Or for anyone?
Abendstern and TUFTS, I'd say, are where my attention's most honed.
Tuft's card is on... It isn't the lowest, but it isn't great. So either he was doing really poorly and is just happier that he's gotten a turnaround, or he is just happy to be playing with people. And so is willing to see that kind of continue.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
And Abendstern, how do you feel about? I mean, you've got your stone cold
croaker face,
right? Yeah.
This is what I look like all the time.
Incredible. For the podcast, he's got a big puffy frown going on. There we go.
This is stone cold.
Now I'm gonna do mad. Now I'm gonna do happy.
For the podcast, it's the exact same face.
No, you just can't see the nuance.
My man.
Cal, before you go, Shiny, you just typed something really cool. Can you just say what? You put it in our own chat, but what are you doing right now? What is Long Sparkly Trail up to?
I didn't want to interrupt your guys' actual game, but she just keeps slowly scooting around the outside of everybody's game and every once in a while poke somebody's card with an ice duck and just goose it up a little bit and kind of makes a noise. It may not be an approving or disapproving noise because she doesn't really know what's going on, but she just goos something. She wants to be involved. She's helping.
I love it. Are you helping anyone in particular, or is this just going on to everyone?
It's just kind of random in circles. She's just going around duck, duck, goose style.
I love it. This makes Tuft uncomfortable, but he's trying to be super friendly. So he's like, well, you generally don't show the... Well, okay. And he just kind of accepts that he now has some goo on his face card.
I hope these cards didn't have much sentimental value to him.
They were my grandfathers. They were my grandfathers. But it's okay. They should wash. They should wash fine.
The goo is good. It does all kinds of fun stuff. You'll see. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Oh, okay. And Wensley, what do you put in? How do you feel about it?
So, I want to reiterate to the fellow players and to the DM that I rolled very poorly. Wensleydale
Amazing.
has no idea that this is true, and just like pulls his coin pouch off of his belt and sets it down next to the lid where everyone has been putting all of their money.
Oh no.
There's a decent clunk when he drops it down. Minus what he put in for the ante, he's got about 30 gold caps.
Okay. Okay. And so 1 second. Tuft is gonna roll an insight check on this.
All right.
He rolled badly, so he rolled an 8. And so he's like, well, I had discretionary funds, and, well, it would be rude when I'm teaching to, and how you can tell that he is sweating. I don't know how mice sweat, but he's sweating. And he shakily takes his, how much caps are we talking?
I didn't count it.
Okay. Okay. I'll count it later, I guess, and puts it down there. And his eyes are darting between like JINK to Abendstern to JINK to Abendstern, like just poof, 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 back and forth, trying to see. JINK, you're up.
Goo.
Remind me exactly what we're doing in this round.
We are there's basically, so now you are either you're matching or your bet was raised, so you put down 3.
Yeah.
And it was raised again. So you have the chance to match with 27 gold caps, or you can fold and lose the caps that you've put in already.
Or you can raise.
Or you can raise, I guess. And we're just taking all that money that you rolled, and it's going away forever. This is a Chris Perkins no money game from here on in.
I'm
Wait, I have to do
things,
math.
okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, for sure. I like that JINK might be doing the math. So Abendstern, what are you doing at this point in time?
Well, I have to ask. You didn't count how much money you have in your pouch?
No, what? It's just money.
How am I supposed to raise or match if I don't know how much I'm raising or matching?
You count it then.
I reach out slowly. And
You will find 30 gold caps, 27 silver leaves, and 8 copper token.
well, I'm unable to match that, so
Wait, I thought we were.
I'm
Oh.
out.
Gotta know when.
Oh, you know what? And he jumps in, and like Tuft jumps in and be like, "Oh, we can do a side pot if you want. This happens in my family all the time. We could take whatever you have, and then you could win that if you win, and then if the next card was our otter, our Rivertail friend, and he says this with such fervor, wins, then he could also he would say he would win that part of the money back. I don't want to be rude. I don't want you to feel like you can't play. We can always do a side. There's always a side in a mouse house.
So DM, are we trying to match 27 or the number that our good friend just laid out?
You put 3 in already,
Yeah.
so you would be adding 27.
Okay.
But anyone else is trying to match 30.
Okay. I'll match it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. How much do you have, Abendstern?
I have 23 gold, 38 silver, 79 copper.
How would Abendstern... Now, because you're a cleric,
Yes.
right? Or are you a paladin?
I'm a cleric.
You're a cleric. How would a cleric feel about potentially losing every piece that he has on the first round of a card
On
game.
the friendly, let's just learn how the game works round.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that Abendstern really cares about money. Howee is the one that really sort of is the entrepreneur. I just, I'm devout. I worship my star, and I protect my brother. So, but I don't want to just, I feel like I'm bonding with my adventure. All right, I stay. I stay. I
Awesome.
stay.
So then, very dutifully, as if because it was his idea of the side pot, he offers his paws up, and you hand him his pouch, and he then takes the 23 and puts it to one side of this small box, and then everything that fits, he counts it all out and puts it to the one side, and then there's this side pot of the remaining 7 from every other player. So onto the other side with small change here and there. And he says, okay, well, since we've, sometimes in some families you would pull again, or you could have another set of bets. But this seems like a time to show. There's different ways that we can play here, but I think this is it. And so, and he's like, and he's a little embarrassed, but he shows his 2 cards, and he shows a 5, and on the 5 there's just a single poppy seed on it, and beside it he has and then the second one is a 12. So he shows the fox, and it's the fox of spring. So a small card with a yellow fox drawn in the center of it is what he shows. And so that is a total of 17.
Okay.
Jink, what do you have?
So, Jink's first card was a 12. And the second one was also a 12. So a total of 24.
Okay, so you also pulled out the fox. Let's say that it was the fox of fall. So it's an orange, I believe is the color that I said.
Yes.
So 24.
Yep.
Yeah. So 24, and you see his little mouse ears kind of flop a bit. He knew that he would be losing, but now it's an assured thing. Abendstern, how about you?
I slowly put down the first card. It is an 11. I slowly put down the second card. It is a 14.
Oh,
So 25.
So you pull out a wolf card.
Ooh.
And the wolf card, when you see the difference between the fox is a relatively small engraving, and the wolf card, the wolf picture takes up the majority of the card itself. And you have the wolf of winter. So it is a blue wolf.
A dire wolf?
Exactly. Yeah. Jon Snow stuff right there. This is supposed to be a family stream, DM. It's supposed to be a family stream.
Shirt.
Shirt, yeah. That John Wolf, yeah. Anyways, we're going to move past. So excellent. 25. Jinx, you do the quick math and you realize he's beaten you by 1 on this one. And finally, my good river friend, Wensley.
So naturally, he gets the order wrong and shows the face card first. It's also a wolf. He did draw a wolf. And then his other card is a 6. So he has actually beaten Tuft. But he has lost otherwise.
So you pulled the Wolf of Summer. Yeah, you have a green wolf. So the Wolf of Summer. And looking at them side by side, you can tell that there are small differences in the design. Yours curves a little bit more. There's slight leaf ends at it. The winter one is more rigid in its line structures. You think it's meant to represent ice, and the fall one almost has fur, as if it's falling leaves on it. Nothing super intricate. It's just like a design thing. And Tufts sees that he actually lost the worst, and he says, "Oh, well.
Oh, bother.
Okay. And he says, well, I guess, and he takes the majority of the pot and gives it to Abendstern. So Abendstern, we're gonna have to do that math.
Yeah.
So everyone gave you, so there's 23. So 23 times 4 or times 3 because you already had yours.
Total of 92.
90 total of 92.
But that would be that's
so
times
90.
4,
Yeah. So no, times 3, right? So that's 9 and 6. That's 69 gold. And wink wong.
So I now have 92 gold.
Nice.
You have 60. Yeah, you have 92 gold.
Lord.
And this was supposed to be a family stream.
It can't be. I'm here.
You know what? We'll make do. Game 2's happening
Sorry,
next
kids.
week. We'll work on it then. No, it's fine.
Make good choices.
Douglas is here. He seems to be all right.
Don't be like us.
And then
Past your bedtime anyway.
And then you know what, Irish, you win the remaining gold, which is 21 because you were able to put in that other part that he was not. So you can now add. You still have 21 gold, and Wensley, you have a big. You know what? When they, you have a big whopping.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, buddy.
Don't worry, Wensley. I'll spot you at dinner.
Okay.
Sparkly long trail, just like, yep, just as I expected. Yep.
You know what? Roll a perception check for me.
Who?
Sparkly trail.
18.
Sparkly trail. Roll a perception check. 18. You did think this would happen.
That's awesome.
You thought, like, it was a weird passing thought. You were looking at things and being like, well, it's almost like things that you know are going to happen. Like when someone's told you, well, oh yeah, it's going to be cold tomorrow. You're like, well, yeah, it is going to be, it's cold, like, it's going to be a long day tomorrow. And, you know, the pot's going to be split. And the frog and that's going to happen. But I'm like, I wonder what everyone has, right? And so you didn't even think that other people wouldn't realize this. You just thought that they were playing it.
Yeah, it just seems obvious.
Let's say.
And so Long Sparkly Trail is saying like, oh, I knew this was going to happen, and everyone everyone else is settling their money and handling their, putting their coins back in their pouch, and Wensley picks up his now completely empty, absolutely barren, not even a piece of lint in it, money pouch, and just kind of shakes it and goes, "Did I win?"
No.
Okay.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
But if we play again, maybe, and he fakes a yawn. Maybe tomorrow I can spot you some if you want.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a long journey tomorrow, and so I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna have a bite to eat, and I'm gonna go to bed. But just I don't know when adventurers wake up. If anyone wakes up and it feels like the time to adventure, just wake me. I'm new. I'm a bit of I sleep in. So thanks. And then he kind of he already set up his like pack, and he really just goes and he really just nuzzles in, and you can see that he's turned away from everyone, and he's trying to pretend that he's sleeping, but he's actually just writing something out. But he's trying to he's kind of removed himself from the situation a little bit. And you can do with that what you will. And when you decide, while you're deciding that, he has no idea of watch, meaning like the ability, like the time where different adventurers kind of stay up for a part to make sure that the camp itself is safe. So he didn't even know it was a thing. So who is going to take the different watches of the evening? Let's say that there's 3.
I'll take the first one. Howee will take the first one.
All right.
I'll take second. Abendstern.
I'll take last.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
And
All right.
Wensleydale is used to being on his own, so he's not used to doing watches either. So he hears the writing that Tuft is doing and just kind of thinks to himself, oh, so that's how mice snore. And just like goes off into a corner and curls up and falls asleep.
Yeah,
Awesome.
long sparkly trail, just because she's got her shell, she just retreats her head into her little shell a bit and doesn't really worry about the watch. She just...
Amazing. And then it's just silent. Like, no one can tell what you're doing in there. It's
my
like,
house.
it's just it's completely immobile. I always imagined as a kid, like there was that cartoon section that like the snail just had very small legs and in the back of it was a television and a couch, right? Like there was just all of those things.
What was that?
That was my... I don't know, but that is like deep within my childhood psyche.
Yeah, I have that.
I
don't know
remember
what-
that too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what it's from.
Yeah, I imagine it being
But-
very...
No, that
like
was
the I Dream of
claymation.
Jeannie. Oh, yeah.
It was claymation. It was one of the claymation like Christmas or Halloween specials where the snail went in and it had like a whole like little TV or whatever, like little. Right?
It is amazing.
Find this and put it in the show notes for the podcast.
We're going to find it for sure, yeah. But yeah,
I love
she
it.
just retreats.
I love it. Incredible. So, first watch. You, from your vantage point, you can see that that Tuft spends longer. People are already asleep by the time he is still writing. He is trying to mask it, but he's not very good at any of this, and he is just writing in a small book, and then eventually he is about to put that book away and close it, and then you can tell that he's actually about to fall asleep. Then I don't know if you want to do anything with that information, Howee. You already have a pretty good eye on him.
I'm not going to do anything at this moment. I am
Okay.
I'm a bit off my usual side game self because of finding that honey, that old desiccated honey pot. I am going to see if any of it's reconstituted, but I'm making a mental note. He's got this book, and at one point, one way or another, I'm going to get that book, and I'm going to read it cover to cover. But for now,
I love it.
he may rest in he may find his repose without me disrupting him.
How we will remember this.
I love it.
Yes.
Howee. All right, cool. I love it.
So has any of that
so
honey
you-
kind of come back yet, or is it still all just water?
You open it up and it smells sweeter, right? It definitely smells sweeter than the water that you put in from your water skin, right? Yeah. A taste would have to take to be sure, but and tell me, tell me what you want to do with that. Like, do you want to take a taste? Do you want to let it sit? Like, it smells a little sweeter already, but
I'm just going to let my really long bat tongue just sort of lull out in there and just dip the tip of the tongue in just to see if I can get a taste.
Okay. So,
you know, if you have really hot soup and you just kind of touch it with your tongue and kind of like... Yeah. Pulling one of those. That's my game.
I love it. So, yeah, it is... already... It is very sweet. You can probably tell that the flavor profile isn't there entirely because you're not getting the full honey experience. But
it's good, but it's
just
not
because
transcendentally good.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like, part of the honey experience is, I can't believe the mouthfeel of the honey, right? And
I'm with you.
And the percent, exactly. And the percentage of the sugar, right? You are getting, you're getting some of that. Oh my goodness. Okay, just for the podcast, in our own chat and for everybody, Abendstern. So our good friend found what he was talking about, and we're gonna have to link it in tweets.
It is a
because
classic.
it is exactly. It's a classic.
I found
It
the
is
time,
exactly
the
what I was thinking.
timestamp too. 6 minutes and 55 seconds inside the show.
Amazing.
Oh no.
All right, that's incredible. So there we are. We'll have to link that later. It's very, very sweet, and you get one sip, and immediately your instinct is to drink the whole thing.
Oh man.
You can fight that instinct,
man.
but you're
I feel like I got bugs crawling all over me.
No.
You feel like you want to kick the whole thing back.
No, I can't.
Okay.
That's why I just took the
All right.
tiniest taste, because I figured this stuff could mess up a bat real quick.
It is very good. It is very, very good. You have one temporary hit point.
As my eyes roll back into my skull, I sort of make a note of that one.
Wait, are you
okay,
still
so-
hanging from the ceiling?
Yes, I am, and I'm going to keep my watch up for the rest of this shift, reinvigorated by this awesome eons old honey water.
A voice beside you says,
What the fuck? Yeah.
Whoa!
"How that jar hasn't been washed in a while, and you're upside down,
Yeah.
and so it's right side up.
Oh,
But a mouse,
okay.
a mouse who is near clear,
Oh dear. Oh dear.
a mouse who is near clear is standing with you, and says, I mean, I get it. It's good. I mean, I had most of it, but it is. You really just shouldn't put your mouth in things that you find wherever, right? Irish family stream.
You don't know us.
Yeah, that's true. I should have
That's
picked
how
the
you
place
end up with a
differently.
family.
I'll be better, Dad.
Anyways,
You did nothing.
No, don't worry. No, it's good.
Okay. I'm going to pretend like I'm keeping it together, but Howee is pretty panicked right now. Gonna say, first, thank you so much for leaving this here. It's an honor to meet an artisan such as yourself.
Well, I didn't leave it. I guess I left it. It more was left after I left. And I've stuck around with it. It's kind of been, yeah, we've been here. But thank you.
Would you come with me if I took it? Would that be all right?
Well, it's the only, and the mouse, she looks around, and you can see that she's looking at the expanse of this place. And she sees, and she says, "This is what I've known, but I don't. I think it is. I think it's here that I'm. I think the jar is what I really know, and so if it left, I think I would have to."
Okay. I don't mean any disrespect. I did not know that I was holding someone's home.
Oh, it's okay.
But it would be a pleasure to have some company who's seen so much and been here so much longer than we have. As you must know, we're quite new here. Do you remember anything from before you started waiting with the honey pots?
It's been a while. Time changes, and it's very dark here. So I'm unsure how long a while it's been, but it's been a while, and I've seen mice of my kind who I don't recognize passing, and they don't seem to stop like they used to. So they must not know that I was here. So tell me, is the town below new still?
The town.
Did they finish building it?
Does Howee know what the heck this ghost mouse is talking about?
Yeah, you make a history check.
Okay.
So you know that the town below is the mouse capital city that you were in before.
Mousetropolis?
Mousetropolis, exactly. Hashtag Mousetropolis.
I rolled a 13.
Okay. You think that this mouse is talking about an old legend of the foundation of this city not at the dawn of the awakening, but when the societies really started to come together and form what people think of as the modern age of the valley.
Okay. I guess Howee says, it's new as the stars shine. It's new as the forest grows, but it's shed its baby fur, if you know what I mean. What should I call you? My name is Howee. What is yours?
It stops and looks for a while, as if it's trying to remember.
And then I just say,
says
listen, you don't have to tell me now. Perhaps we could find you a new name in a new place. Or at least an adventure.
I would very much like an adventure, and it's been a while. And I'm thinking, I remember Willow. And so I think Willow would work.
Willow, it
Will
is
you,
my pleasure.
You're going to the Lone, are you?
I would like to see it. I've heard very much about it. And I've heard very many fantastical stories that I'll admit I'm curious. It's something I'd like to see. Have you been there?
Oh yes, it's my home. It was my home. This jar, I guess, is my home now. You'll leave though, will you?
After we have the chance to see it, to visit?
Yes.
Yes, I imagine so, yes.
Please take me with you. This is as far as I ever got. And I wish to see more.
Absolutely. I wish to show you more too. And the only thing I ask first is that you and I perhaps keep our conversation and your presence here a bit of a secret. For only the reason that I am comfortable with a great many denizens of the world, physical, spiritual, immaterial, what have you. But I think, and I point down to TUFTS, I think some in our party are a bit tightly wound and inexperienced. And I just don't want this to be something that is a bit too much for them. Do you understand?
That sounds good.
Okay. Only briefly. Only for just now.
How about this? I'll stay in my home. And when you need it, or when you get to somewhere new, you can open it.
Mouse Genie!
And I'll be there.
Yes.
That sounds just perfect.
Found a mouse genie.
Willow, if there's anything you ever need from me or from us, if there's ever anything that is endangering us or your home, let me know. I will protect you.
I will do my best. And one request?
Yes.
please take the water out of my home.
Okay, so Howee steadies himself, grabs onto the roof of the chamber, and just chugs the honey pot.
All right, you
Yum.
have 10 temporary hit
And
points.
I can see
that
through
will-
time.
and you know exactly what umami means. I don't, but at least you do.
For the next 5 minutes.
Right.
It's like when Fry drinks the 100th cup of coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know what? We just hit our 2-hour mark, and I think that is going to be where we end our stream for this evening. So next month, first off, we are going, because it's an event-based stream, we are going to talk with our players and see when in March is going to be a time that works for all or most of us to get back at the table, because community is really important to us, and so we want to make sure that the community that we're building can come and play. And then we will let everyone know when we're going to be back together. And we will start on day 2 of our journey. I'm sure we'll go much faster than this so we can get to our good tree. And if you are interested in seeing another adventure here in the valley, we are going to be playing next week with a whole new party in a different adventure that these good people started, but because we were moving situations, I decided we would just start something brand new. And so that adventure is called The Gloaming, which I'm very excited to get back into. It's a bunch of fun.
Super fun.
Gloaming's cool.
So I would like to thank every single person here. It has been a distinct honor and privilege to DM for you all. Please, if you have any questions for us, write them down in the chat right now, or write it as a question and hashtag Smallfolk or Smallfolk DND, and we will collect them so that we can post them to our table. We are going to get to those on Twitter next week. And thank you so much for coming. So,
I got my own
stay
small
kind.
here.
Yeah.
My cat just showed up.
We both got... What's your cat's name?
This is Banshee. The Lilu is asleep on a cushion over there, but this is Banshee. You can't see, but she doesn't have a tail. She just has a butt. She's built like a wombat, for those listening to the podcast.
Amazing. A
Yeah,
wombat.
every time
I
your
love
cats
it.
have come on stream, I'm just over here like, yes!
Yeah,
Cat
Lilu made an appearance earlier, but she was
Nice.
it was much briefer. Anyway,
So, thank you so much, everyone. Stay kind, stay curious, stay careful out there, and remember that heroes come in all sizes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time in the valley. Take care.
Watch out for snakes.
Peace out. See you later.
I'll go do something good.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Smallfolk D&D and our Lavender Lone campaign, brought to you by Insight Check Podcast. If you like what you have heard, please consider giving us a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your ear streams. Tune in next time for the continuation of the party's journey through the tunnels en route to the promised land of mouse and honey. Will the ghost mouse lead Howee to new frontiers and visions? Will TUFTS face consequences for losing all his money? And will Wensleydale ever learn how money works? Until next time, we hope you can join us in the valley.